Hey, I'm your host, the Dr. Danko, come on in. You've been missing out, so let's begin. Pumpkin_crumb is your host here too. When you hear the beat, you know what to do. Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Hey. Good evening and welcome to Why Did Not You Warn Me? I'm your host, Matthew, the Dr. Danko.
And I'm Hillary Crum, the co-host.
Yes, the mocking co-host that won't just shut up.
I didn't say anything at all, I just made...
Not on the air.
That's true. Listen,
While I was setting up.
Matt used the phrase, now we're bumpin'.
Now we're bumping.
And expected to not be mocked for it.
Do you want me to say now we're
thing to
cooking with
say?
gas? Or...
I just, ideally, honey, not anything.
Not anything. Well, tough. I don't know.
Tough
Cookies?
tenderloin.
You don't want a tough tenderloin. It's in the name. You want it tender.
And loiny.
Okay, anyway, we're off to a great start. Now we're bumping.
Stop it. Well, I guess we found the name of this week's episode.
So what are you doing? I don't know. How do we do this show?
We just talk to each other. That's my
so,
understanding.
Facebook has been doing this thing, like, every Wednesday night, like, almost at midnight for Thursday, where it's like, your fans are waiting for you. You haven't posted in a week. It's like, yeah, I post once a week.
Listen, you texted your mom. She knows you're fine.
Right. Like, our fans
Surely
know.
the guys talking about shit have enough going on in their own lives.
Yeah.
You know, everything is fine.
Which
Facebook.
we're all going to hang out on Saturday. After that, like, at 99 Bottles, everyone's supposedly getting together. You're welcome to come. I know I've asked you already, but...
You asking me on a date?
Yeah, if you're free. I know you're working, but
well,
you know,
we'll see.
I'm just saying, it's there. Like, they want you to come if you're available, but if you're not, don't worry about it.
I'm a fairly antisocial person, which you know,
so am I.
If I go out, you know, we'll see.
Right.
It's, like, basically, bottom line, nothing personal. I just don't like anyone.
Oh, no, of course. That's not... I would hope they don't take it personally, and I don't think they would. They're not those type of people.
Well, we've made it weird now, so it's sure to come up.
No, it's fine.
Great.
So, yeah.
I love that all of your toys are shaking.
It's the desk.
They're
shouldn't lean on it.
Coming for us.
Yeah, the way... Now that we have this room sort of how it's going to be, my desk has, like, my workspace and a bunch of action figures that are sort of... They're not really a part of a whole collection, so I don't really have a place to put them all. Like, I have my Marvel Legends in the living room.
Proudly.
Jay and Silent Bob I wanted at my workstation. All the horror toys, I didn't want you to have to look at those all the time.
Thanks.
The Tick, I have my Jurassic Park stuff. And then, I mean, my DeLorean and the Toxic Avenger.
A couple of things that are mine.
Yeah, no, because...
My little troll doll.
Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to sort of have a small cut down version of the collection that represents sort of everything, because I have like Doctor Who represented here. And Red Dwarf,
the smallest TARDIS you've ever seen.
Yeah, the one that I found at that Panera Bread that one time. It was in the booth that I chose to sit in.
Was I there for that?
Yeah, you were doing a Skype interview for some job.
Oh, that explains why I have no memory of it, because I was freaking out.
Yeah, no, for sure. You were completely
If it was a Skype interview in a public place, I was not taking in anything else that was happening.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was. It was to direct Heather's.
Oh, that's right. The Boston one? Or
one of the Boston ones.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Didn't go well. Clearly, I'm not in Boston directing Heather's.
Yeah, but that was for a frat, so it's fine.
No, that was a different one.
Really? I thought
Maybe.
the frat was doing Heather's.
No, the frat was doing... It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter. My point
irrelevant.
is, so my workspace is sort of set up this way. And then you have your puzzle corner with your books.
Well, my puzzle's finished, so now it's just a book corner. But, like, our entire house has apartment, it's not a house, has become a book corner because I have an ungodly number of books.
Right. But I mean, we're working on the bookcase thing. So.
Yeah.
So if anybody listening has free bookcases...
Even just bookcases that you don't want for the next couple of months.
Yeah, like we'll be happy to store them and use them and treat
gently,
them well.
lovingly, yeah.
Yeah, like
tenderly.
The way she treats her books is like immaculate. So
I lent Matt one of my books and I saw it poking out of his bag, wrapped in a plastic Walmart bag, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And he was like, "Listen, I don't want anything to happen to your book."
Because you take your books like seriously. Like
I do.
I took the dust jacket off and like didn't want that to get fucked up because when you're reading it, it's very inconvenient to have a dust jacket.
I mean, I've gotten used to it, but
well, you are an avid reader. I watch television.
They're also easy to tear.
Right, exactly, which is something I didn't want to do, so I kept that at home, and then I wrapped your book in a plastic bag so I wouldn't fuck up the book. Just because, you take shit seriously.
And I was explaining to somebody that we worked with how sweet I found it that you had done that. It was Chris, just for reference. Hopefully he doesn't listen to this podcast. I
seriously doubt he does because we're not friends on Facebook. I know you guys are probably.
We might not be anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But I was telling him about that and he was like, why doesn't he just buy his own copy of the book? And I was like...
That seems stupider.
Right. That seems really dumb. Also... Like,
you think I'm made of money?
Right. There's the money angle. And then there's the, like, this is a lot about how much I care about books, but there's something about reading the same book that someone you love has read, like the same copy of it.
Yeah, and I mean, that book is still in good condition. Like, I've seen the books that you've, like, they're loved. They're loved. So they're a little more worn out.
Yeah,
and my copy of Holes... I don't know if I've shown you it, but...
I think you have.
Yeah, it was the one my third grade teacher gave me because I love the book. Like, she read the book to the class. I loved it so much that she bought me a copy and wrote in it. And, like, I read that every summer in the years to follow. It's a good summer book. Yeah. I dug a hole because of that book.
Like, no.
Yeah. But anyways, there are some books that, like, if you read that copy, the one that you've read, and, like, give it to somebody for them to read, there's something special about it.
Yeah, I mean, and, like... I don't think I'd underlined anything in that book, but I mean, I'm not one of those people who won't underline, who won't highlight, who's afraid to like crack the spine on books. I like my books to look loved and worn. I just don't like it when people are careless with them.
Right, that's a different thing.
Right. For example, I lent my brother a copy of the novel Aragon, a copy that I bought in the airport on the way to New Zealand when I was 13, and I took that book to New Zealand and back, and it was pristine. And my brother had it for 5 minutes and dropped it in the bathtub. Yeah. And I have never forgiven him. This was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just, reading in the bathtub is tricky.
I won't even do it. I'm terrified.
I've done it.
I can't relax with a book in the bathtub.
Right.
It's just...
Like... Honestly, reading in the bathtub is probably one of the several, like, handful of ways that getting me to read is, like, possible. Just because there's literally nothing else to do. And I'm not going to take my phone in there.
That's way higher stakes. Yeah.
So much. So, like, I can read a book. And I mean, I don't sit in the bathtub for hours, but, like, I can get a solid chunk of reading done.
Yeah.
It's quiet.
Yeah. You've done your share of bathtub readings.
Yeah.
Together.
It's still that same book that I've told people on this show that I was reading. I still haven't finished it since the move, but I have a lot of other shit going.
It was so interesting to me to find out that you were not a reader, because the second year we were at Bush, the year we started dating, like before that, before we started dating, you were telling me about what was happening in your life, and I was like, you need to read The Perks of Being a Wallflower right now. And I brought it to you the next day because that's one of the ones that I usually bring with me everywhere. And I have done my share of underlining in that one. And I handed it to you and you read it in like 2 days. Well,
I mean, it's way easier to read backstage at Busch Gardens specifically. And with everything else going on, we just had chunks of time. So I sat down and I read it. And I needed to read it at that time.
Yeah.
So it got me way... Like, it was way easier to stick with it because it was telling me something I needed to hear.
Yeah, just what you were talking about, you needed to read a book where the punchline, "We accept the love we think we deserve," got really hit on.
Yeah. And it was a good book. I think I had seen the movie in film school, but yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful movie. It's one of probably the better book-to-movie adaptations. And I mean, that's because the guy who wrote the book, like, wrote, directed, cast, and picked the soundtrack for the movie. So
yeah, and the soundtrack really does help
it's integral.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So, other than that, yeah.
Yeah, so what have you been watching this week?
Well, before we get into that,
oh right,
I just want to appreciate my Jurassic Park setup here.
You gonna describe it for the people that can't see it?
Yeah. Actually, you can see it on Instagram because I Instagrammed it in 4 lovely photos. You can follow me at TheDoctorDanko because that's my handle for everything. But it's just I've never had this set up before, and I even had to take out some pieces because it was so like. The room isn't huge, but it's a good place to set it up. But I had to take half of the collection away just because it did like take over half of the room.
Yeah, like it's already with the collection cut in half, taking up probably a quarter.
Oh yeah,
of this small room that we're in.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's pretty jammed in together. Like I think when you have some real time and space to set it up, your ideal is to have it a little bit more spread out. Yeah.
Yeah, because I got all the herbivores and carnivores like. Jammed together in the pen.
They have no space to roam. They're going to
kill each other. The T-Rex is going to eat everyone. The velociraptors are going to like wound most of the smaller animals.
Right. If people are paying to come to this park to see carnage, they will get their money's worth, but it will last for like a week.
And all tops. The vehicles are kind of just higgledy-piggledy.
Slapdash.
Yeah, so like my plan is to spread it out more and like I have this helicopter I found at a Goodwill that I'm going to paint up. And I'd like that to hang overhead and put some characters in that. So
Didn't we talk about doing that in like a greenhouse or something?
Yeah, like I wanted to integrate parts of it like outside, like with plant life because that's what it would look best.
Dinosaurs don't live inside.
Right. And if I could do it in a way that like I could protect the action figures and sort of choose which ones I put out, like that way none of them would get ruined.
Or maybe even just like a terrarium rather than actually outside.
I don't know.
Well, we'll have time.
I mean, like, if kids are involved, like, in my future children, then I would, like, bring them outside so we can all play with them. But for setting them up as a display, terrarium or something I've thought about doing.
I think sandbox would be cool, too.
Sandbox would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I would have to make... Okay, so I would make the sandbox in the shape of the island.
Sure.
Because they have a good visual of Isla Nublar is the name of the island.
Okay.
It's 900 or it's like 600 or 900 miles off the coast of Costa Rica.
It's very relevant to what it looks like.
I know. Anyways, so yeah, I would probably do that and then set them all up outside. I've also thought about like... if I have the time, money, and resources,
sure.
A series of like aquariums.
Aquaria.
Because yes, aquaria. I've shown you parts of the TARDIS console.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have the whole setup, the play set.
Okay.
Which because of the way they call it the coral setting because of the arches and things.
Okay.
In later episodes, so I've always wanted to see that underwater. Because I think that would be really cool and have like fish swimming through the stuff. It would look really cool, but I wouldn't put that electronic piece in the water.
No.
I would have to make a separate like look-alike and then light it up with green because that's how it lights.
Oh, okay.
And you could probably put the filter to the fish tank in the middle of that so it's all connected. I've thought about this quite a bit.
Clearly.
But I would do like a series of aquaria.
There you go.
There was like the scene from Jurassic Park where they're the 2 jungle explorers and the T-Rex is coming in. The kids are in one vehicle and the adults are in the other vehicle. And one of them whips out like a flare gun.
Just
not
whips
a flare
it out.
gun, but a flare stick, I guess. Yes, just whips out.
Flick.
Yeah. Anyways.
I got distracted.
So yeah, I have that set up, taking up a quarter of the room.
Right.
And then I have my new Batmobile, which my parents were lovely enough to buy for me. And I didn't really expect them to. I thought, one of my friends would be like, I'll go to Costco and check it out for you. And then they would get there and then it wouldn't be there. And they'd be like, oh, well, but this vehicle is $250 retail They had it at Costco for $80. My parents picked it up, and it's amazing. There's going to be an unboxing video somewhere down the line on YouTube. But so what I've been watching this week, because that's
I'll just
what we
go
were
and
talking
you
about.
can talk about the Batmobile for the rest of the hour.
The reason I wanted to talk about the Jurassic Park thing was because the new Jurassic World trailer dropped today. And the new toys are hitting the shelves, and those are really cool. There's a new Deadpool
trailer too.
Yes, there was.
Didn't watch it. Not gonna watch it.
No.
Yeah.
I have enough that I need to know, and I mean, I didn't even need that because it's Deadpool.
Right.
Like, and Terry Crews is also in it. Like,
yeah.
Well, more than I need to get me to go to the movies. And Infinity War comes out this week.
Fuck.
Well, it'll be next week, but
okay.
Yeah, the 27th.
It's a good time to
Thursday.
be broke.
Yeah, right. So there was something like I watched specifically for this, but the other day when you went to work and I was up super early.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Yeah, shit. No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yesterday I had this big chunk of time and I was on Netflix and looking for something to watch, and I stumbled upon Yoga Hosers. And so I watched that because I did just watch Tusk not too long ago. And, you know, I've seen the movie before, so it's nothing new. It's a Kevin Smith movie, so I like it, obviously. Like, that's fine. But there's something very charming about it. And, like, the way he has described it in the past, because it's loosely based off of a podcast. Like, the title, Yoga Hosers, came from Scott Mosier, who... They were reading this story about this guy who does yoga, and the RCMP like raided his house, and they were doing a bit where like they were knocking on the door, "Come out, you goddamn yoga hoser," and like just kept going on with that. And he sort of tied this into the True North trilogy, which is the Tusk, Yoga Hosers, and Moose Jaw series he's doing, and this was also an opportunity, not only for him to tie these all together, but for him to work with his daughter.
Right.
Because, like, the thing about Kevin Smith is since he's been doing movies, he's always put his friends and family in movies. Like, in Clerks, his mother is in, like, she's in the scene, like, she's referred to as the milkmaid because they talk about the shitty customers they have, and the one woman who goes into the milk aisle and pulls out every jug of milk to find the one with the latest date on it so that it doesn't go bad soon.
Right. No, I'm that person.
Right. Exactly. So, like, Kevin Smith puts friends and family in movies, and he's put his daughter in a few movies. She also played baby Silent Bob in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
His daughter, Harley Quinn, just for any of you who might not know.
Yes, Harley Quinn Smith, who he and his wife agreed was a good name at the time.
Right. Pre-Suicide
Squad. And, like, the new 52 Harley, I guess. But, yeah, so, like, it's
Poor
fine.
Girl.
Yeah.
Particularly now. Like, men are terrible. They're going to be like, hey. I don't know. I
She's
don't know how to
underage,
do fuckboy. It doesn't
fine.
matter. It makes it worse.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So anybody that's doing that is twice the scum. But anyways...
Great.
So, it was sort of a father-daughter movie he got to make. And it's also, like, it's sort of a kid's movie. It's a kid's movie for fucked up kids is how he describes it.
Great.
Because these two girls who are in Tusk, they work at a convenience store called the A to Z in Canada. A being E-H. The A to Z. Yeah.
Good.
And
you have to stop touching this table.
I know, I'm sorry, but
we're going to be buried.
It's fine. So they help the detective Guy Lapointe find Justin Long's character who's been sewn into a walrus costume.
I'm familiar.
I know, I'm just saying, like, that's how it connects. So this takes place at that convenience store. There are two teenage girls who are invited to this party, but they have to work. And, like, he's joked about, like, I don't know why, but I really liked filming the A to Z stuff when we were making Tusk. And his wife was like, well, fuck yeah. It was a convenience store. Like, two girls behind the counter, like, working at a convenience store.
Right.
That's the shit you do.
Right. It's your comfort zone.
Yeah, and what's also cool about it, well, it's bittersweet because her friend in the movie, the coworker, is also her friend in real life. Oh. Lily Rose Depp, the daughter of Johnny Depp, who's Guy Lapointe in the film.
Yikes.
Yeah. And they've all known each other for such a long time, like they're family friends. He hasn't said anything about the Johnny Depp stuff. Mm-hmm. At least anywhere I've listened. It's probably on Hollywood Babylon, I would say, where he mentions it, if anywhere. But I don't know. I don't know his position on that, but... So that was the shittier part of watching the movie just after having heard all of the Johnny Depp stuff that came out.
Right.
But at the base of it, it's still, a father-daughter movie, and then two best friends kind of save the world type thing. Because the other point of the movie, what?
I mean, it sounds like Jay and Silent Bob.
No, it's not that. Because in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, they're not saving the world. They're trying to stop a movie being made about them.
You have to stop.
It's fine. It's not going to fall.
The tick is going to attack you and kill you.
The tick is not going anywhere.
His gigantic chin is going to smash into your forehead.
His mandible. Anyways, it's not Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, that's what the bone is called.
Great. It's fine. It's just a reference. It's not Jay and Silent Bob. If anything, it's sort of Dante and Randall. But the point of making this movie was because there have been a lot of superhero movies where dudes are saving the world, and he wanted to be like, well, not only, it's his daughter, and so you could make the argument, well, he could have cast anyone else, but it's his fucking movie. Leave it alone.
I'm not arguing with you.
No, I'm saying some people were shitty about the fact that he puts his family in the movies. It's like, well, all right, but he made a walrus movie,
right.
He does what he wants to do.
Who he wants, and it's great. Yeah, he's sort of one of those people. My understanding, everyone who grows up as a theater person, or I would assume this also applies to film. You get the people who are willing to be in your projects be in your projects, but then. So the only thing that makes him different is that he actually has the funding if he wants to look outside of that group. But if he doesn't, that's how people start creating.
Right, and and
it's a safety net, and it's people that you know how to work with.
Yeah, with Mallrats, it was after he was picked up by Miramax, Universal was going to make that movie, and they had people in mind to make it with. I can't remember the one girl. Christina Aguilera is probably not the name.
Probably not.
It might have been Drew Barrymore. I don't know.
Okay.
Something along that. But the other two were Jon Stewart of The Daily Show and David Schwimmer.
Yikes.
Right. And Kevin Smith's like, I just want to make I have these people. I kind of wrote the parts for these three people, so we're going to do that. And I'm like, oh, Kevin, movies aren't about it's not about making movies with your friends. And he's like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, once you have a group of people and you're making things with them, it's so fun because you can ask things of people that have worked with you before that you cannot ask of people that you meet off the street.
And Kevin Smith has worked with some higher named actors since then.
Right.
Ben Affleck is now Batman. He's directed Argo. He's an established writer, director, actor.
He's a big name.
He's worked with Bruce Willis, and although that movie didn't go according to plan, which was mostly Bruce Willis, because Bruce Willis is a dick. Yeah. But Tracy Morgan, and he's worked with Seth Rogen and Craig Robinson.
We're all very proud of Kevin Smith. Is there a point in here?
The point is, you dick, that he has worked with, more named celebrities. Not for nothing, but Johnny Depp was an A-list actor.
Yeah.
I know. But he can do that if he wants to, but he kind of works with the people he likes to work with.
Right.
So with Yoga Hosers, why not cast his daughter? And this is probably the only movie that, would be in the style that, his daughter would fit with.
Okay.
I don't know if he'd throw his daughter in, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot that's coming up. Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah, and again, this movie is very Smodcast oriented, so like a bunch of the jokes are thrown in there. They do an episode of Smodcast that's like a recording, like he's interviewing Scott Mosier because they're gonna throw the recording into Yoga Hosers as like a radio thing, and that's kind of cool to hear. And the whole premise of the movie is like the two girls work at this convenience store that's built on top of this, more or less like a laboratory, where there was this this one German guy that was like the only Nazi in Canada at the time of World War II and wanted to take over Canada and like kick out all the Jews. But like everyone in Canada is so nice that they weren't on board with it. So he was just going to do it himself. So he created these, what they call Bratzies, Nazis made out of bratwurst.
You've told me about
and
this.
Like the girls are practicing with their band in like the back room, and it blows the circuit, which like interrupts the process of making these Bratzies, so they're like 2 inches tall.
I wonder
they're more
if he's
like
indicating like a foot and a half.
First of all, they are more like a foot, but that was not depicted in yeah. So it's a very weird premise, but it's a very endearing movie because they use like photos and stuff. There's like a montage of the two girls like having fun together and like singing a song together, and like you can see them being best friends, and then there's photos of them when they were like super young because they've been best friends, and it's like a super cool thing. So yeah, it was very cute to watch, and like it's not made for a lot of audiences. Like it is more so for kids. So if you didn't like Tusk, you're definitely not going to like Yoga Hosers, and if you like Tusk, you're probably not going to like Yoga Hosers because it's still different. But if you're just like, yeah, whatever Kevin Smith makes, I'll watch, like me, then you're going to love it, because that's the one I was in New York at the time of its premiere. I pre-ordered my tickets.
Of course you
And
did.
there was like a line, because it was like a Fathom event. So like Kevin Smith did like an intro before the movie, and then there was a Q&A after, but it wasn't a Q&A. They threw up a link so you could follow it to go watch the Q&A of them touring the movie. But it was well worth it. I made a few friends at that theater because we were all like Kevin Smith fans. Super fun. So that's what I watched this week. I rewatched Yoga Hosers. What have you been reading this week?
I don't actually think I've told you too much about this book because...
No, I have no idea what you're reading.
Okay. It's not the first time I've read the book. I think it's the third, maybe the fourth.
So, sorry. You did finish the other 3 books?
Yes, I finished Isla. I figured because I talked about her last week.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I finally finished her. So I started rereading another Jodi Picoult book. It's called Sing You Home, and it has a pretty social justice political punch in the middle here that I'm realizing as I read it is kind of outdated, which is nice and not nice, which I'll get into.
When was the book written?
I want to say, I looked at it because I wanted to have that information ready for this. It was like, I think it was 2000, maybe like 10 or 11.
Okay, so pretty recent.
Yeah, but...
Well, it's still like 8 years ago.
Feels
it's still
recent, isn't really.
Right?
Yeah.
The Avengers just came out.
Right. So the book is called Sing You Home. Most or all of Jodi Picoult's books.
2011.
Okay. She trades off narrators with every chapter. In most of her books, it's sort of too many narrators to track, but it works because you're getting just different windows into the same story. This book, there are only 3 narrators until the last chapter, which is a 4th.
Okay.
The 2 characters that we meet at the beginning are Max and Zoe. They're married. Zoe is a music therapist, which is fascinating because she just like, the way she describes it is like people music therapy themselves all the time. Like when you're sad and just want to listen to a song and cry, or
trust me, I listened to the Harry Potter Hogwarts soundtrack for the video games when I'm stressed out. It mellows me out.
Yeah, so you get it. People have just a visceral response to music that just can't really be matched in many other ways. So that's what Zoe's thing is. She and Max have been married for a couple of years, trying to have a baby pretty solidly throughout this time, because Zoe has just always wanted to be a mom. The book opens where she has been... This is the first time that she has been pregnant long enough for them to, like, decorate the nursery, and her friends are throwing a baby shower. At the baby shower, she miscarries pretty spectacularly. Or no, I'm sorry, she doesn't miscarry. She goes into labor. It's just very early, and the baby is born dead. Nice. Yeah, not a great way to jump out of the gate. And we find out that, like, because, I mean, she's not, like, dangerously too old to be doing this, but because they've just been through cycles of, like, in vitro and all of the crazy fertilization stuff that you have to do if you can't have a baby naturally. Or not. That's a weird connotation, not naturally, but... Well,
I mean, there are different
without
ways...
scientific intervention.
Yeah, encouragement.
Sure. But... So even knowing all of the complications, Zoe still wants to keep trying, and Max is basically like, I'm out. Like, I can't do this anymore. I just watched you almost die trying to deliver our stillborn son.
Yeah.
So they divorce. And Max goes off in one direction, which becomes very important later. Zoe befriends this woman named Vanessa, who is a school counselor at a high school. And Vanessa is not openly gay, but not hiding it. And this is the part that starts to feel outdated, just the way that gay people have to move around in the world. Because even, you know, as seemingly recently as 2011, there was just a lot more care taken with who knew and how they knew and how open it was okay to be. Also, the book was clearly written by a straight woman, because Vanessa is a little bit stereotypical.
Yeah, you yelled at me for touching the table.
So Vanessa and Zoe become friends, and then they fall in love.
Okay.
My one issue with the book, other than the slightly outdated nature of it, is that Zoe just jumps right into being lesbian. The topic of bisexuality doesn't ever come up. Zoe was married to and loved a man. So you'd think it would at least be a little bit of a thought process.
Right.
Like, even if, you know, she's realized that, you know, that she only wants to be with women from here on out. Like, you know, bisexual is a valid identity, and it should have been given a little bit of attention. So Zoe and Vanessa get married. They have to go to Massachusetts to do it because it's not legal in Rhode Island, their home state. While Zoe and Vanessa are off falling in love, Max is sort of spiraling out of control. He's an alcoholic. He has no money. He has no control over his life. He gets in what could have been a fatal car accident and wakes up believing that he has been saved by Jesus Christ, and joins a very intense and very political church. That sort of sounds like it's supposed to be a spin-off of Westboro. And he finds out that Zoe is now married to a woman, and, like, goes to her house and tries to, like, talk her out of it and tell her that she's going to hell, and it's...
Yikes.
Shit starts to really hit the fan, because that's not even right. It hasn't even hit the fan yet. In Jodi Picoult books, people almost always end up in a courtroom fighting over something. Because Zoe and Max went through in vitro so many times, they did not use all of the fertilized embryos. So Zoe still wants a baby. She's not able to carry the baby herself anymore because there are, like, other health things that happen. Like, she gets cancer, and that's just like a blip on the radar.
What the fuck?
She gets a hysterectomy, and it's fine. But Vanessa is like, I can carry a baby. I know that you really want to be a mom. I want to have a family with you. I love you. So they go to try to start that.
But it's his...
The clinic will not release the embryos without Max's consent.
Yikes.
because they belong to both
Right.
of them. So Zoe's like, fine, I'll talk to him.
Does not go well.
Does not go well. And like, Max is obviously in no position to do anything with these, as his pastor calls them, preborn children himself. It's so cringy.
Right.
But his brother, Max's older brother, is married to a woman who is, I mean, they're pretty good together. They're very religious.
Yeah.
But they seem to be on the same page about it. They've also miscarried a lot and are, because the infertility issues are hereditary, so what Max has, his brother has. But Max gets the idea that these embryos should be raised in a good Christian home, which to him means his brother and his sister-in-law. So they take it to court, and it becomes just this insane circus because the church brings in one of those, like, TV evangelical lawyers who's just insane.
Yeah.
And I haven't finished rereading the book again, but I'm very close, and I've read it a couple of times before. Like, this lawyer just goes absolutely crazy and just ethically questionable, like within the law, very carefully within the law, and just keeps repeating that this is all within the best interest of these preborn children, and has very derogatory things to say about the lifestyle that Zoe and Vanessa are choosing to lead, and the, you know, the hard science that states, this is all heavily air quoted, that a child that grew up with that degenerate lifestyle would be more likely to, you know, choose homosexuality themselves, and it's just...
Because that's the worst thing that could happen to a person.
Right, because that's the worst thing that can happen, and also because, you know, gay people raise gay people, just like straight people always raise straight people. It's like, right, because that's how that works. Gay isn't natural, so they're recruiting, and they're going to start with your unborn children, apparently.
Which are just eggs on a shelf.
Right.
Like a carton of eggs. That's what I'm picturing.
And, like, for most of this, Max is just willing to go along with what his pastor is saying, what his church is making him believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have read the book before, I know how it ends. So spoiler alert, because it's a bit of a twist, as Jodi Picoult books tend to be. The judge awards custody of the embryos to Max, which means that he has the choice to either give them to his brother, but he chooses to give them to Zoe and Vanessa. And is like, I know Zoe, I know that she has always wanted a child. I know that that child will not be more loved anywhere else in the universe.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, so it ends well.
Good... Jesus, Jodi Picoult, I've never read her books, but like,
they're
that's
insane.
A whirlwind.
It's a lot. And she does like all this research. So you get like reading these chapters from Max's point of view, where he is so heavily involved in this church. Like, it blows your mind, the stuff he says, like it's just normal. Like, he meets this woman who defines herself as ex-gay, and he's just like, well, if she can give it up, then that just must mean that it's not a real thing. And, you know, the Lord says. Like,
Yikes. Wow, though.
It's a lot.
That is a lot to process.
I mean, Max, like, realizes that this whole circus that's being put on in the courtroom has, like, it's not really for his benefit. It's so the church has an excuse to do this grandstanding.
Yeah.
And get a law written that benefits them. And it just doesn't have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because it's kind of making me mad just hearing about it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a lot. Jodi Picoult books, always a roller coaster.
Yeah. And it's weird, like, we've brought all of your books that you own here, and it seems that you have a lot of Jodi Picoult books overall.
I do, because, like, I've said before that they can be hit or miss, but they are almost, I won't even say almost, they're always page turners.
Yeah.
Like, if the end result isn't quite what I wanted it to be, I mean, getting there, like, I never want to put the book down, and she's written them on, like, every social justice issue you can come up with, and several that you wouldn't even think about. The first one I read, I remember sitting on, like, in the bleachers when my brother was playing Little League, so I must have been, like, 11 or 12, which is weird to have read this book. It's called My Sister's Keeper. And
oh, wait. I know that book.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know they made it into a movie.
I think that's why I know the book.
The older sister has cancer.
Yeah.
So they have the younger girl, like they, make her in a lab basically to share all the same genetic material that, but the younger girl sues her parents basically and is like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I do remember that vaguely.
Yeah, and like it's always a question of, I mean, Sing You Home, there's not really the question of who's right and who's wrong.
Right.
Because Max is wrong. But I mean, in most of her books, there are all of these like crazy, like insane, like just moral questions that you're just never really sure what side you're supposed to come down on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like that, like My Sister's Keeper is so interesting because, I mean, this little girl wants her life, but you want the older sister to have a life too.
Right.
Like,
So
it's how
Yeah, it's hard to, how do you justify one over the other?
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah, and all of her books are like that.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a lot. So that's what I've been reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and like I said, with Sing You Home, just the treatment of gay people is very interesting because, and I mean, I'm not sure what, I don't know how widespread it is, but I would imagine at least in New England, people who are gay don't have to be quite so careful anymore. Although I can't speak to that experience because it's not an experience that I've had.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they're hesitant to walk around holding hands. And I know that people still are weird about that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, geographically, it can have its influence on behavior.
In the South, I would imagine it could be quite dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know, like, Mississippi, some group, like, petitioned to have the first gay pride, and the state, or, like, maybe the particular town that they were in wouldn't allow it.
Damn.
Yeah, I think they did it anyway, but...
Oh, yeah, because fuck yeah.
Right.
Like, that shouldn't even be a thing.
Right, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I think we should move on from that because
it's a lot.
That is a lot for me to process.
That's just a lot for me to process.
So what's next on our list?
Don't we talk about what we were watching together? I didn't write down anything for this week. It's been a busy week.
Yeah.
We started watching. What did we start watching?
Well, we started back up again with Doctor Who.
That's right.
Just because now that we've sort of settled down, we're not really moving from state to state like to get the rest of our shit.
Right.
So I set up my desktop and we watched a couple episodes of Doctor Who. What do you think about the few episodes we watched?
The relationship between the Doctor and Rose is still really strange because, like, it's very affectionate, but still just doesn't really feel based in anything.
Right.
So that's odd. I love David Tennant.
Yeah.
Like, he's so engaging. He's so charismatic.
Yeah.
His excitement about everything feels much more sincere than when Eccleston did it.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think, going along with the relationship angle, I think the fact that they changed Eccleston to Tennant after one season makes it hard to understand her affection towards the Doctor. As, like, because, yes, it is the same man, just regenerated over and over again, but they do have varied personalities. Like, the new Doctor, after the regeneration, usually does keep a lot of the same, keeps a lot of the beliefs and thoughts and whatnot of the previous Doctor, but is still learning new things.
Right.
And how they approach things differently. Like, so it's definitely, like, on the show plot aspect of it, Rose has been with the Doctor, quote, unquote, for a while now. Right. But as in the real world, as a viewer, like, she doesn't really know who she's with.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like... And also, like, with American television shows, you can always tell when two people are going to end up with each other because it's planned out and, like, the way it's filmed, like, it's very obvious.
Right.
And I don't know if that's a cultural difference or if it's just a Doctor Who thing. That there weren't, lingering glances or anything. Not that I picked up on.
There were a few, I would say, or some moments. We didn't get it a lot with Eccleston.
Right. There have been some lingeries.
There's more
with
Tennant.
Yeah.
Like, you can sort of feel when Tennant, like something has happened to Rose, and Tennant's reacting to it, like, he's not going to stop until
but my question is still just why? Like,
what do you mean, why?
I mean, why he's so tenacious about her in particular. Like, I don't know, like the last episode that we watched, the question of, do I save Rose or do I save the world? I'm like, I don't know. I still don't get why the relationship is so compelling.
Well, first off, so you're talking about the Satan Pit, which was the name of the episode.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Where, I mean, so as a companion, the Doctor has a responsibility to keep the companion safe.
Right.
And he has lost quite a few companions over the years.
Okay.
Whether they leave or physically lost them. That every time he does lose one, he feels more responsible for the companion that follows you. You'll see it. I hope you see it if we get to Peter Capaldi. Because Peter Capaldi is like, I have a duty of care. Like, he repeats that line all the time. And the companion's usually like, no, you don't, because I can make my own decisions, and even if it's dangerous and I decide to go, that's on me. That's not your responsibility. But he feels it, and you can see that he feels it. With Tennant, I think it's sort of it's stuck between, the fact that it is a new Doctor only after one season, where normally the Doctors would get maybe 2 at the least. And seasons vary because some seasons are like 6 episodes. Okay. But I don't know. When I first watched it, I was like, yes, Rose Tyler and the Doctor, they're in love and whatnot. But upon rewatching it so many times, I don't really see why. Or how, rather, that they are involved with one another. You see some of it develop more so later on. Okay. I know we're like almost through this season and something will happen, and then we move to the next companion, which is Martha. Okay. She dies in battle, but not really. I can't really answer that a yes or no. Great, then stop talking about it. But yeah, I don't know. Okay. Maybe it's just like after the events of the Time War, the Doctor sort of has this new duty or obligation to humanity. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in like that, I would get if it was wanting to save everyone, but it's way turned up in relation to Rose.
Well,
because they're supposedly in love.
Sure, that, but also if it weren't for the Doctor, Rose wouldn't be there. Okay. All right, like, that makes physically, sense. Like in that last episode, the Idiot's Lantern, where he gets all worked up and she has no face. Right. It's like 1953 or something like that. Something like that. In London. And so like he put her in danger. These are the consequences, and he wants to right that wrong. Okay. Some of the stakes feel a lot higher, especially with the Satan Pit, because that was literally the devil was going to go back and fuck up the world.
That just felt very Buffy to me.
I could see that, and it's crazy that they did it. And I mean, you can even tell with the writing and like the character of the Doctor, like he's a man of science, right? And he couldn't explain it. Yeah, and he's like, "Well, I'll give you have a physical existence, but other than that, I'm not saying you're the devil." Right. But I would have loved more time spent on that. Yeah, no, for sure. It's like, I don't know what it was, but we beat it. And then they fuck off back to their next adventure. But like, how much time can you spend on that?
Just within the episode itself. I don't want like, an arc.
Yeah, but they had other shit going on with the Ood and
yeah, but I wasn't as interested in that. Well, I mean, like once you figure out the rule, which is very simple, that, this telepathy is not as benign as perhaps we originally thought it was, like, then it just doesn't. That's it. Like,
well, yeah.
Whereas is it the devil is, before the universe and time a thing that exists? Like, bigger questions.
I mean, he monologues about it, because that's the other thing too, is because they ended up on this planet that's hurtling into a black hole, but is kept in, like, not stasis, but like kept at a distance that it won't get sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all these characters, and one of them is possessed. Like, once they separate, you're stuck balancing the two storylines.
Right.
So with the way they did it, where Tennant and Ida Scott, yes, go down into the pit, because that's like the only other option they have.
Right.
Then Ida stays behind, and the Doctor goes further into the pit. Like, he's stuck talking to himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's... I don't know how that, like... It doesn't benefit him to hear his own voice.
Just when he was faced with the thing.
Yeah. But he has no one to talk to, really. Because...
Right, because the thing's personality isn't there.
He does, yeah, exactly.
Right.
So he's doing it just for our benefit.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
It's hard to say. I do think that episode stands out, and I wish there were more like it.
Yeah.
We get not a similar episode, sort of, with Matt Smith later on.
Okay.
It's called The God Complex.
The Complex.
Yes. But, yeah, it was just an interesting episode, but... Aside from all that, I know I didn't even really mean to go into all that much.
Well,
it's Doctor Who. That's
honey,
the problem.
That's what happens.
Yeah. We started watching iZombie.
Yeah, just today.
Yeah, because we finished Santa Clarita again.
And it was equally as excellent the second time.
I love that show. And I wanted to find a new show that was similar in feel, but Santa Clarita Diet is a very unique show.
It's very specific.
Just because of how it handles a lot of the things, and the actors themselves. Like, Timothy Oliphant is all fantastic. I will never stop saying that. Ever since Kevin Smith said it. It's such a great way to describe his acting.
Yeah. Because it's specific to him, but it's perfect.
Yeah, he has the character of Joel is so great, and everyone else. Like, even if Drew Barrymore and Timothy Oliphant are the main characters, all the supporting characters are fantastic. Great. Abby is great.
Abby's amazing.
Like, it really offsets. But, like, at the same time, you can sort of see their personalities combined in her.
Yeah, and the neighbor boy who's in love with Abby,
yeah.
Which, like, that could be such a cringy fuckboy thing, but it's not, because Eric is hilarious.
Yeah,
and, like,
and he's sweet and sincere.
He's not pushy. Like, he respects her boundaries.
And even the next door neighbor, not the one they murdered, but... Spoilers.
Yeah, the other cop.
Rick, I think is his name.
I think so.
Yeah,
he's great.
He's delightful.
Very Terry Crews-esque.
Yeah. I don't really give a shit about a few of the... what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say the wife of the one that got killed. I think she's so funny.
Yeah.
She's ridiculous.
Yeah, she was on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay.
That's where I know her from.
Okay.
But yeah, she has a way better part on this show.
Okay.
And is way funnier. Yeah, I don't really care about Rick's wife.
No.
She just doesn't.
She just loves John Legend.
Yeah.
That's her trait.
she says some funny things, but it's usually like...
It's a punchline of a joke that somebody else has set up.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah.
Ramona is pretty funny.
Ramona was cool.
Yeah.
I really liked that dynamic where they would just go in looking for something. And
it was always her.
And it was always her, like, my manager says you've been staring at this for a really long time. Do you need any help? And then they would be like, I don't know. Do I need help? And, like, start contemplating life.
And she would keep saying these, like, perfectly mundane things of a woman who works at a Rite Aid.
Yeah. Like, related to maybe the aisle has an item that's not there. And she's like... Sometimes I see things that others don't.
This doesn't go here.
Yeah. and
they read so far into it, like this philosophical direction. Like, oh my God, it's not there. You're right.
It's such a genius thing. I wish they kept going with that, but...
yeah, they twisted that off in another direction.
That was nuts.
That was crazy.
And the way the season ended Season 2 ended.
Yeah. There is a lot of gore in the show, like, which we've mentioned before. And, like, I texted my best friend. I was like, you should be watching this show. And she was like, it was too disgusting. I had to turn it off. And I'm like, I'm the biggest wimp. I'm so squeamish. I look away at all of the stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, the jokes still land.
Yeah,
it's still really funny.
Really well that you...
Yeah, it's not relying on the gore factor.
So we wanted to watch a new show, sort of like that.
Right.
And iZombie, I've heard some things about. I never watched it.
We tried Weeds.
Oh,
we watched one episode, not even a full episode, and it was just excruciating. Like,
yeah, it felt very stale.
Very boring. Like, I don't even need to get into the plot. Like,
no, I don't want to get into the plot too either. I mean, it's soccer mom sells weed. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
But it feels very, and I say this out of love to everyone who made that show and put all the work into it, but it feels very much like a film school kid was trying to be super clever and well-written dialogue where the characters are just talking to each other and
like they were trying to do Santa Clarita.
No, not even that, but just that, they were trying to, because it was a 2005 show. It feels like what Breaking Bad, like some of the plot lines sort of line up, not to the extremes, and as great as Breaking Bad is, Weeds doesn't stack up, and maybe more of the episodes down the line are better. But with the pilot episode...
Pilot was real stupid.
It just... I didn't give a shit about anyone.
Right, it wasn't funny, it wasn't clever.
Motives.
Yeah.
It just... There was nothing hooking me in. The only thing I kind of was interested in is the little kid, but not even that much.
Right.
The bar was set so low that...
Right.
Unfortunately...
Yeah, so, and then they made, like, just one gay joke too many, and Matt was like, I'm done.
I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
Like, 10 minutes in, I was like, I'll give it till the end of the episode to see if it picks up, but then, that happened. Just, like, I'm out.
And it sucks, because I've heard some good things about the show.
Yeah, there was a time when everyone was really into Weeds, and I just...
That and 6 Feet Under we haven't watched, but it was one that came up on my radar, because it's a dark humor sort of thing.
But then we settled on
iZombie. It's a show that's on the air now, but it hit Netflix recently, and the plot, like I think I glanced at the plot, and on IMDb it says people who like this also like this, and Santa Clarita was on there, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and like a few other shows that I watch, but.
It's a very happy marriage of Santa Clarita, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and, like, superhero movies. Yeah. Which is just everything we love.
Because it's based on a graphic novel, or comic book. I don't know which one's the correct. I've never read any iZombie comics.
Right.
But the plot is literally this resident at a hospital, basically, like, goes to this party that ends up having a zombie outbreak. She wakes up the next day as a zombie, like alters her entire life to now work at the morgue, where she can get her supply of human body parts.
Of brains.
Of brains, specifically.
In this one, they specifically eat brains.
True. They are zombies.
Well, Santa Clarita's a zombie and she eats everything.
Yeah, but they don't say the Z word. Has a negative connotation to it.
So, but Liv is definitely a zombie.
Yeah, she's definitely a zombie. And anytime she eats a brain, she sort of can obtain abilities and memories of the person that she's eaten the brain of.
Right.
So much so that when she sort of inadvertently solves a case for the police department.
Like a murder case.
Like a murder case. The guy that she works with is like, she's a psychic, just because.
Because what are you going to say? She ate his brain?
Right.
Like, psychic is way better.
Yeah, and it's genius because, well, I like the show Psych, which is about a fake psychic solving crimes. And it's a very nice combination of all of these shows that I just love watching.
Yeah.
But also made for cable so that it's not gory for you.
Yeah, the brains just look like that pickled ginger that you get with sushi.
Yeah.
Or shrimp.
Right. Or like, yeah.
They're a very pleasant pink color.
Yeah. And so, like, they can't, and it's like a lower channel. It might be on ABC or It might be NBC, I don't know. It's definitely a lower numbered channel, but it means that they don't show that much, and they don't need to.
No.
Like with The Walking Dead, they got away with a lot of shit to show on cable, but it's also a higher numbered channel, so it's like,
Right.
and they show it at a later time, so they can get away with showing more shit.
Yeah, like, I never thought I'd be the kind of person who would watch not just one, but 2 zombie shows.
I know.
But, like, I mean, it's super funny.
Yeah, it's well written.
The guy she works with in the morgue is hilarious.
Yes.
He's a young guy who just pegs immediately that she's a zombie.
Yeah, like, had his suspicions, and then he would open up the bodies that she would work on, notice the brain was missing, and be like, oh, okay.
And he's just, like, so no big deal about it.
It's like, we'll find you a cure, it's fine.
Yeah, and he's like, so I was just doing all of this, and she's like, and that didn't freak you out? And he's like, nah.
Yeah, it's like, it's very cool, and
Yeah.
I do like the dynamic of that character, and the cop character. And,
Yeah. Liv's ex-fiance is hilarious.
Yeah, he's great. I wish,
I hope for only good things. We've watched like 3 episodes, maybe.
But it's a great show, and I'm
really
glad we
good.
started watching it.
Yeah. I think that's
really all we had to talk about this week.
Yeah, it's been kind of a busy week. I started doing more work at the zoo.
Yeah. I just got a job at the zoo.
Because we do things together all the time.
And I passed my course instructor sort of evaluation thing at GoApe.
Congratulations.
So I can just instruct customers without anyone watching me.
Conversely, I'm going to be in training at the zoo for 2 to 3 weeks minimum.
Yeah.
I press buttons.
Yeah, it's strange, but it's okay.
Anyway.
I'll be in that boat soon enough.
It's true. It's delightful.
Yeah.
It's not.
Though I have to get a TB test, which I have to be remembered to ask.
Be remembered.
Be remembered to ask.
Yep, and you have to do the gross one with the needle.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just have to get the possibly cancerous radiation in my lungs.
Right, it's fine.
Yep.
So, I guess that's it for this week.
Lord knows we could continue rambling, but...
Oh, yeah, and I've done it before, but we've talked for about an hour.
And that's a timeline that I like to keep to.
Yeah, like strictly too.
I haven't been watching as strictly.
No, because the computer's not on.
I normally watch on my phone.
Oh.
But I also, we're doing this because podcasting makes you happy, which means I'm not going to be such a stickler about keeping
appreciate
time.
that.
That's called compromise, and that's what people who love each other do. High five, please.
Yes. So on that note, I'm your host, Matthew, the Dr. Danko.
And I am his compromising co-host, Hillary Crum. Bye.
Bye. Once the show ends, please don't shed those tears. We'll come back again, so have no fear. Oh, we told you that it just might end up this way. What's the show called again? You cannot be saying, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now?